Yes, while international cycling faces anarchy in France, Italy celebrates with the 99th edition of Milan-San Remo. Hi everyone, on this Easter weekend, I'm Phil Liggett with Bob Roll, and this is Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels. Bob, it's a massive 185 miles, a new finish on the Italo Calvino in San Remo, a new climb, spring-like weather, and above all, Bob, a plethora of top riders, all ready now to do justice going south.
All the best sprinters in the world signing on for Milano-San Remo La Primavera, the first big rendezvous of the season. We are chock full of potential winners, Paolo Bettini amongst them, and Oscar Freire as well.
Freire, the two-time winner, he's the rider possibly to beat, and Alessandro Petacchi, another big name, and of course Thor Hushovd.
Thor Hushovd, there's Fabian Cancellara, all the best sprinters in the world. Tom Bonin from the Quick Step squad, and our top favorite probably, Oscar Freire from Spain. He's won this race twice in a row, announced his good form by winning 2 stages of Tirreno-Adriatico in the week leading up to Milano-San Remo. Also, we have the big Italian sprinter, Alessandro Petacchi. He won this race once before, probably the fastest man in the world when it comes down to a pure sprint. Petacchi, he is on the Milram squad. He will also have the help of Erik Zabel to lead him out. He is the hot Italian favorite. You can also not forget Thor Hushovd, the big Norwegian. He's told us all spring this is the race that he wants to win more than any other. Good form in Paris-Nice, winning the prologue there. He's had a couple of extra days to rest as well before La Primavera, and that is Milano-San Remo.
The thing is, Bob, there are so many riders who have already started winning this year, and big time as well. Tom Bonin has never won this race. He's had a 3rd and a 4th in his last 2 outings. Paolo Bettini, for 2 years the world champion, he has won this race, but it was 5 years ago. Robbie McEwen has never won it, finished 4th last year. Stuart O'Grady, if he can stop falling off, well, he might even win this event. Cancellara, his teammate, is bang on form and he's winning big time, while Filippo Pazzato also riding well and would like to repeat his 06 victory.
George Hincapie comes from the United States and Team High Road, along with his teammate Gerard Schiolek. Julian Deem on the Slipstream squadron. He is also a very fast sprinter. Erik Zabel, he's won Milano-San Remo 4 times. Don't discount the German. Robbie Hunter from the Barlow World Squad in South Africa. He's got an outside chance to win. Alessandro Ballan, he was the man that helped Pozzato win a couple of years ago in that big breakaway on the Poggio. He's also the winner of Tour Flanders last spring.
All right, well, I was with Robbie Hunter in South Africa last week where he was also winning. Let's wish him well. Let's have a look at the route, Bob, because it is slightly different, especially the finish.
It starts in Milano. It's a very long ways down the Italian Riviera to San Remo. Just before they get to the coast is the longest climb of the day, the Passo Turchino. Then you go to Savona, all the way along the coast there. Absolutely gorgeous place for a bike ride. But if you're in Milano-San Remo, a whole lot of suffering out on the open roads. We're going to take a look at the profile also. There's a new climb this year, and that comes with about 100 Ks to go. That's Les Magniers. I don't think that'll make a huge difference. It's just before the second feed of the day. But the Capi at the end, that's what makes the difference. The Cipressa and the Poggio before the 5 Ks descent into San Remo for the finish.
Yeah, slightly different finish there. Their overall distance of the race, 185 miles today, about the distance between Los Angeles and San Diego. Last year's winner was Oscar Freire. The most wins ever was by, in fact, Eddie Merckx with 7, while Erik Zabel is the big current rider. He's won it with 4 wins. Let's go to the action, Bob, as we pick up the action here now, out on the highway. We're around about 70 kilometers or so from the finishing line, but really since the start, well, 199 riders took the start. 4 riders, now reduced to 3, have been shaping the race. Filippo Savini of Navigare, Nicola D'Andrea of Miche, but he's already been dropped, Raivis Beloshevok of Sonia Duval, and William Fishgorn of Slipstream. And they are putting a man in an early move, probably celebrating, Bob, the fact they are in the Tour de France this year.
That's a great move for the Slipstream squad to place a man in the breakaway, Will Frischkorn, and he will try to hold off this thundering field when we get down towards San Remo. There is the world champion currently, the biggest star of Italian cycling, Paolo Bettini.
Well, it's been out to a maximum lead of 16 minutes, this breakaway. They've dropped Nicola D'Andrea now, a young professional. We're waiting for the latest time check, but there's been plenty of high pace. There always is in Milan-San Remo. It's a pretty solid, fast race south. And so far, nobody has got clear from the peloton. There's Fabian Cancellara at the back of the group, as he now keeps an eye for his teammates here. Perhaps Stuart O'Grady a bit later on today. Good fast tempo riding. They allowed it by tradition almost, the breakaway, to run, but now they started to chip it back. And all of the hills, as Bob will tell you, because he's ridden this race, come near the end.
Right at the end is where you need to save your energy for. The hills come fast and furious towards the finish line, and it makes for an incredible day of bike racing. All the Italians watched La Primavera, the Classicissima, and this is Milano-San Remo, a great day of bike racing.
Now, Bob, is this a little bit of cramp settling in here? Early days on a long race today. That's the leg of Fabian Cancellara's had a terrific start to the season. We saw him in Palo Alto when he took out the prologue time trial in the Amgen Tour of California. So as I say, they've got 16 minutes. It's coming down now. Sometimes the pros make a mistake, but you get that feeling they won't make a mistake in a race at the level of Milan-San Remo. But they'll live there in hope. Let me remind you too, also coming up on today's Cyclism Sundays, we've got highlights from this week-long Tirreno-Adriatico, which many hopefuls here use as a build-up. Plus a closer look at today's big favourite, Oscar Freire.
Watching him ride, whether it's at training or in a race, it's just unbelievable to see.
I did a good season, so I am happy.
And will today's race to San Remo end in a breakaway over the Poggio, or will it come down to a bunch finish? Stay with us right here on Cyclism Sundays.
Cyclism Sundays coverage of Milan-San Remo on Versus is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And by Avis, we try harder.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
Who does she think she's kidding? You know what she's been doing in Miami. You sit here, staring at a cement wall, alone, and she has the gall to just show up 3 days later, toss her bag in the back, and pretend she doesn't smell like new car. She was with a Prius hybrid. Oh, so now suddenly she's an environmentalist.
With dozens of the hottest cars to choose from, there's a reason Avis is your other car.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
In this home, a family grows. Children learn and play. Bonds are built. But before it was a house, it was a detailed drawing on a plan. The Bachelor Degree Program in Construction Management in the School of Drafting and Design at ITT Technical Institute offers educational opportunities that can help students prepare for challenging and rewarding careers in the construction industry. There's a demand for individuals with knowledge and skills to manage construction projects. The construction industry needs professionals who can oversee construction projects in accordance with the plans and specifications. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of many, this dream became a home. There are still many more to be built. ITT Technical Institute School of Drafting and Design. Education for the future. To find out more, call 1-800-488-3116 or visit us on the web.
Every game means a lot. I think pressure makes you better. As the games get tighter, it feels like you're already in the playoffs. When we face the Flyers, it's always intense games. And the only thing you can really guarantee is that you're going to go out there and do your best. Expect anything.
The NHL on Versus, Flyers Rangers, Tuesday at 7:30.
Welcome back to Milan-San Remo, the first big race of the season. And while we see 3 riders in the lead here, we'll have a look now at the week-long Tirreno-Adriatico. It's the race that most of these favourites of today choose to ride in preparation, with perhaps the exception of Tor Hushoff, who had chosen Paris-Nice. The first stage here was 99 miles. It was based in the same town throughout. As we join the action briefly, 2 riders clear, Mikhail Ignatiev and Yuri Kristov, with the 2 riders to get onto the finishing circuit, but the field, with 1 lap to go, had caught them up by.
1 lap to go, the field catches, led by the Liquigas squad. They're leading out Pozzato. Robbie McEwen led from the last corner, but a little bit too far from the finish line. Look at the man in orange and blue. That's Oscar Freire. Freire came through for the win, just in front of Alessandro Patacchi.
So let's have a look at the sprint there. Certainly McEwen did make a mistake. He must have thought the finish was just around the corner. Well beaten in the end. Freire getting his first victory of this week in Tirreno-Adriatico. There'll be more to come, of course. And he was the first stage winner. Blue jersey note for the overall leader in this event. Onward to stage number 2, as the riders now enjoying a warm summer's day here. They headed towards the town of Gubbio.
Gubbio, one town where St. Francis performed some miracles. Here's our breakaway. A lot of really top riders in there. Nicholas Axelsson, and getting a little bit long in the tooth now, but he is on the attack in this stage.
Quick reaction, the rider on Baller World was Gasparotto. Also in this break was Iliano. These were riders all hunting. Baller World, remember, also selected for the Tour de France now after their great performance last year. And they were trying to get the win here. They had 1 man in the leading group as he came up towards the line. But there was to be a surprise here, because the rider who would take the sprint hasn't won a race since the year 2004. And he gets the better of Enrico Gasparotto. Iliano really does stamp his authority on this stage. And there's the result for you after 5 hours. Iliano, Gasparotto and Axelsson. And as a result of that, Gasparotto promising what he said he would do at the beginning and get the overall lead. He led by just 2 seconds over Axelsson and 6 over Linus Gerdman. On to stage number 3, and the beauty of Italy all around here. Monteluponi is where we went, and again the attack coming here at 1k to go with Visconti, the Italian champion.
Giovanni Visconti, he launches the first attack, but look at the steepness of this gradient. He misjudged that badly. There's big George Hincapie, perfectly placed to do a good sprint, but look at just on his shoulder is the champion of Spain, and he would wait a little bit longer before he launched his attack, Joaquim Rodriguez.
But the blue jersey there of Gasparotto clearly at the fore here, anxious to build on his lead, but it wasn't going to come. This was Joaquim Rodriguez who was launching an attack here, and as a climber the terrain was suiting him well, with the finishing line sitting just around the corner. He got clear of the field to take a great win, and they don't get too many for this rider on the Case Paterre, but he was the champion of Spain getting home first. But what happened to George?
We have to look a lot further down the road, and you can see how steep the gradient is. The motorbike falling over, impeding the riders, and George Hincapie had to put a foot down and was unable to contest the sprint because of that. That gave the win to this man, Jordi Rodriguez.
De Luca in second, Axelsson in third again, and as a result of that he got the blue jersey by 10 seconds over Enrico Gasparotto. So reversed the overnight situation. Onward to stage number 4, another 105 miles as the riders continued, and there was a very early breakover. This is a flat stage, Bob, and Milram were having none of it. Look at that chase back.
Big train for the Patacchi-Zabel duo. Zabel leading out Patacchi. Freire trying to come around, but no one would deny Alessandro Liggett Patacchi. A great win here in Tirreno-Adriatico for the Italian fast man, and this is good morale boost for Milano-San Remo in a few days' time from this race.
Absolutely. Patacchi notching up the win there, but overall there would be no change at all, as the race would now go on to the Race of Truth, stage 5, the time trial, a 16 miles event. David Zabriskie, the champion of the US, a former world silver medalist, was on form.
There's the Utah rocket ship, absolutely perfect position. Dave Zabriskie set the fastest time of the day so far when he hit the finishing line.
But the world champion, who got 5 top-notch time trial wins last year, not to mention the world championship, Fabian Cancellara, as at Palo Alto, was on fire again in this event. He got the victory, and he poured some fluid down his body here, Bob. I don't think he even bothered to swallow.
Here's Linus Gerdemann, who had the yellow jersey in last year's Tour. You can see the damage to his jersey there, and also not in his time trialing machine. We would find out later that he finished this race with a broken femur. Unbelievably courageous ride for the high road leader, Linus Gerdemann.
And what a big disappointment too, because this was the start of the Tour de France for T-Mobile last year, and I'm sure Bob Stapleton's boys were hoping for big things. Let's hope he can heal in time. What a brave performance, as Bob Roll has said. So a broken femur then for Linus Gerdemann, but he finished the day. He didn't leave the race, as they always say, by the back door. But overall, Fabian Cancellara was showing a continuing of his good form here. He had the overall lead, and once again, he'd used a time trial to secure a leader's jersey. 16 seconds over Gasparotto, who was still saying he could win this race. Moving on to stage number 6 now, a massive 122 miles this time out. And again, it was to be a day for the sprinters, but not in the beginning, because Pavel Brut was up here on the attack. And watch out for a desperate effort too, which will come from Gasparotto, as he would try to find those 16 seconds.
Our 3 leaders coming towards the finish line did not have enough road to stay away. A big charge from the peloton, being led again by the Liquigas squad. And here is Gasparotto trying to get across and trying to do something to get a little bit of time back from Cancellara.
It had to be done. He said he thought he could still do it, but it wasn't to be. He was wiped out by the sprinters. That's Gasparotto in second place here. He was looking for just 16 seconds to take the lead away from Cancellara, and on this day, with one flat stage still to come, it wasn't going to be. So it was a resulting bunch sprint here, and a chance now for Oscar Freire to show us he really is sprinting well, and he is bang on form for today's Milan-San Remo.
There is Freire in orange and blue, and that is Pozzato trying to do something against Freire, but the man from Spain way too fast for the Italian sprinters on this stage.
So over the line, it was first Freire, Pozzato, a winner of Milan-San Remo, don't forget, and Danilo De Luca refining his form despite the shadow of drugs still hanging over him. One stage to go, stage number 7, a flat stage of 107 miles it was, and a big bunch sprint to wipe it all up here, Bob, and another big victory in the end.
The man Francesco Chicchi, young Italian sprinter, got the better of Robbie McEwen and Danilo Napolitano from the Lamprey squad. Good result for Liquigas and, of course, Francesco Chicchi.
Yes, again, McEwen not showing his legs in the end, but no doubt about the overall winner. It's Cancellara. CSC may be leaving the sport at the end of the season, but they're going out in style. Gasparotto finishing second, never did find that 16 seconds. Thomas Lockfitz in third, a good result for Team High Road. Further down, Ryder Heisdorf, a slipstream Chipotle there, looking for a ride now in the Tour de France. George Hincapie, he walked a little bit of the way, taking 22nd. So that's the situation as we now look down from the helicopter here on the peloton in Milan-San Remo. We are around about 66 kilometers from the finish, but really there's been no change in the race formation. We've got a gap of 2 3/4 minutes. There are 3 riders up front, which is Filippo Savini of Navigare, Raivis Beloficic from Sonia Duval, and William Fishgorn of Slipstream Chipotle.
Here, Testa della Corsa. Slipstream has said that they want to be a force to be reckoned with, and they have been doing a great job. They've had a great start of the season in 2008. Look for Slipstream to continue in the Tour de France as we get deep into the summer of bike racing.
Well, these beautiful roads here with zigzag down the side of the Ligure roads here. This is Lagueglia now, the scene of another famous bike race at the end of the year in this part of Italy, and these 3 boys enjoying huge crowds. It is a beautiful day. It's the first day of spring, by the way, in Europe, and at least in Italy we feel it is some 12 degrees. It's snowing in London, by the way.
Snowing in London, but absolutely gorgeous down on the Italian Riviera. Now, for the Italian riders, this will guarantee many hours of TV publicity, so everybody will know the name Filippo Savini, Will Frischkorn, and Raivis Beloficic at the end of the day. So these breakaways get formed because maybe they don't have a chance to win, but they most certainly will get the publicity. And if you can't win the race, why not go out and try your luck on one of the big breakaways?
Well, absolutely, Bob. That's great news. This is Donato Canoni here, who's just making a move for LPR, I think he is. No, he's 172. No, he's new medical OTC team. Well, I can tell you, he's a new pro here, and he's trying to get away. He's taken a tentative. Now that's going to cause a reaction from the field, which is probably what the field are waiting for now. The nervous moments, they want to push behind them and start to eat into that leading group. This is how he did it. little bit of attack. I've never mentioned his name in my life before, but he's put his nose up front and he's going to try and catch up with those 3 leaders. We'll take another short break. Rejoin us soon.
Hey, Ted. What are you doing?
Getting ready for our big tent event.
Well, it's not that kind of tent.
Oh, yeah. That is better.
A tent event that could only come from Subaru. Through March 31st, get a great deal on any Subaru at the Small Tent Big Event, like the all-wheel drive Forester. With available stability control, it's an IIHS top safety pick. And now it comes with $2,000 cash back, plus 0% APR financing.
Sometimes even cold weather needs a refreshing twist. Miller Chill, the only light beer brewed with a hint of lime and salt. Chill is in the air.
It's an automotive breakthrough. It's ZNet, newly expanded and only at AutoZone. ZNet gives AutoZoners the power to find the right part faster with diagrams, photos, and instructions so you'll get the job done right the first time, every time. Improved ZNet, only at AutoZone.
What's this? What's this, documentary? Man, right here, this is my business. Buying, selling, whatever, you know? Slow. Business is off, man. Sales are down. Seems like half my customers, they don't even need me anymore, you know? I mean, they're getting high for free out of the medicine cabinets. How am I supposed to compete with that? Got kids? Well, next time something goes south with your kids, don't look at me, man. Ain't my problem. I didn't do it.
Teens don't need a drug dealer to get high.
I wish I did.
Safeguard your prescriptions. Safeguard your teens.
Cyclism Sundays. It's on. Every leg-burning sprint, every lung-searing climb, every bone-jarring wreck, and every exultant finish of the 2008 cycling season. 3 stages in 2 days. Jens Voigt looks to repeat in the 77th Criterium International. Next Sunday at 5 on Versus.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
It's the storm of the century. Thousands have been evacuated to... Winds have been clocked as high as 175 miles an hour.
Get a super relaxing mattress at an equally relaxing price. Head into Denver Mattress for our guest bed special. Right now, we're offering for the first time ever 5 years, no interest with no payments for the first 6 months. Hurry in, this offer ends soon. Denver Mattress, more mattress, less money.
We're about 65 kilometres from the finish. Let me remind you that next week here on Versus, we'll bring you coverage of the Criterium International from France. That's a 3-stage race spread over 2 days.
And Big Jens Voigt will return. He's won this race 3 times, and he would love to win it again. Slipstream is going to be in the race as well. They've got the invite for the Tour de France, and this is a mini Tour de France. This is a team from the States as well, Team High Road. We'll see who they bring to Criterium International. Another team on the block, brand new to Criterium International, will be the American outfit, BMC.
Well, that really is exciting. Of course, you can watch it right here with us at 5 o'clock next Sunday. That Cyclism Sundays brings you the Criterium International with 3 USA teams taking part. We wish them well, and we hope that the UCI and the organisers ASO settle their differences very soon. Let's get back to the action now. Well, there it is. He's still away here, Canone, but the peloton are right behind him.
The peloton just behind Canone. Generally speaking, tactics dictate that you wait till the breakaway is caught before you relaunch another attack. However, a new pro maybe hasn't been explained all of the intricacies of the sport yet, but he'll find out when the peloton starts chasing.
Well, we're about to start the climb now of the Capo Berta, Bob. Now, when you rode this race, these little climbs really did snap at your legs, didn't they?
Oh, most certainly. You get the end of 300 kilometers of racing. Even a freeway overpass is going to hurt the legs. So these stiff little climbs at the end of Milan-San Remo are absolute torture.
258 kilometers into a day of 298. As if the distance wasn't enough, the new finish has added some 4 kilometers here. Just sat at the back here, the champion of Great Britain, David Miller, as he also will probably lead the Slipstream team into the Tour de France now, and he's going to feel pretty happy with the news this week that that squad will be in the big race.
Inseguitore, that's Italian for the chasers, and that would be just about the whole peloton. There we can see the Milram teammates of Alessandro Petacchi, the hot favorite for the Italians, and he is going to lock horns with Oscar Freire as we get towards San Remo in just a little bit of time.
Well, there's the peloton, plenty of room between the riders right now, as there's the rough ocean there, but the weather today has been perfect for cycling. Just on about 15 degrees Celsius soon after the start today. Fabian Cancellara down there, just dropping in and out of our picture, as all of the riders here now know that the catch can't be much longer, because we're down to around about 2 minutes. Patrick Calcani is the rider being a little pushed there. I just spotted Robbie Hunter too. Hunter finished 10th in this race last year, and he's sprinting very, very well. And Barlow World, they also have got their invite to the Tour de France, so they want to prove themselves.
Winners of 2 stages in last year's Tour. Barlow World, a new team. They've been around for a few years, but starting to really get some big results. And of course, Robbie Hunter winning a big field sprint in the Tour de France last year.
Back up to the boys that really have made this race today. You know, they've been out in front now for about 240 kilometres, Bob. Savini, Belosic and Frischkorn. There was one other ride with them for half the day, but he's been tailed off now, Nicolo D'Andrea. He's gone backwards and he's already been picked up by the field. That will give the field a little bit of an incentive. But in fairness, they're not chasing these 3, are they? They're just using the tempo on the hills.
Yes, absolutely, and this is a great tactic for Slipstream to be using. Their riders can sit back in the field. They don't have to do any work at all. There is Rabobank at the front. They know what they need to do, but by having Frischkorn in the front, then the Slipstream riders don't have to do any chasing. NGC, very aggressive on today's stage so far.
Aren't they? Because they just caught Donato Canoni and his teammate there, bridging the gap up to one of the riders there from Tinkoff. Now it's an angry peloton now as we look at the chase group here. A long, thin line through this town. The thing is, Bob, now the hills are going to come thick and fast at irregular intervals. If you're going to win this race, you've got to hold a top 20 place, haven't you?
Oh, most definitely, and it gets very dangerous in these narrow streets. A lot of spectators, as you can see, and lots of traffic islands also out there. So now is when you have to start moving up. Laurent Fignon told me a few years ago when he was winning it twice in a row, he said, now, Bob, we must move up. He had the legs, of course. I decided to stay at the back, and that's where the crashes happen.
Well, they're showing us 4:02 here, so obviously there's been some relaxation somewhere because these boys have stretched it just a little bit. It's good news for Will here. Had a good season last year, finished 2nd in the Tour de Missouri at the end of the year. He also finished 2nd in the Tour of Bahamas. So he is looking forward now to what will be a big year of progress. He's only 26, so there's plenty of time. He's aiming for the Tour team, and I reckon he's going to impress his management today, not least Jonathan Vaughters himself. The other team manager, of course, David Miller. Well, there's a man not enjoying the passage here of the Milan-San Remo, but there's no need to worry. The boys in front are through, and the peloton, I think, is closing in. We'll take another short break.
Welcome to the Sign Then Drive event.
Ta-da! What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah, it's really...
What's happening?
If you want, I could put a sold sign on the car.
No, this works just fine.
The Sign Then Drive event is back. No down payment, no first month's payment, 0 due at signing.
Hello.
Are you at a bar? I thought you were too sick to come to my cousin's wedding.
No, honey, that's just the TV.
And now back to Jim in the newsroom.
The economic situation there.
Maxi mixers are going fast. How about a demo, Phil?
Timmy tried to cook a turkey in the dishwasher.
Looks like nothing's on.
I'll try and get some rest, all right?
Okay.
They got a little captain in them. Got a little captain in you.
Drink responsibly. Captain Morgan is proud to be made with Puerto Rican rum.
Laser sharp side-by-side performance. The world's toughest ATVs. The hardest working, smoothest riding utility vehicles. All at 3.99% APR. That's 3.99% on every trail treading, stuff pulling, dirt chute, holes pounding, air racing, muddy, track busted, adrenaline pumping Polaris ATV or Ranger. The Polaris Tough to Beat sales event. Get 3.99% on all Polaris ATVs and Ranger.
Memories as big as a Texas sky, like blowing leaves of childhood dreams float by. And so it seems that we've always been here in our thoughts and our dreams.
For your free Texas travel information, go to traveltex.com or call 1-800-8888-TEX.
See you tomorrow, Steve.
Do not let her get gum. You know that's Tony Stewart. Oh my God! Get the camera. I've got the camera. Oh, Tony, he's a huge fan. Ready?
Tony, you okay?
Armor All wash, wipes, and tire shines. Go ahead, stare. And for even better defense against UV rays, try new and improved Armor All Protectant.
Milan-San Remo, it's a big classic. It's been ridden for many years.
And he has a lot of history, so it's one of the best classics for the sprinters.
It's really nice along the coast in Italy. It's going really fast until the last couple of climbs, Cipressa and Poggio.
It's the best race that I can win, so for me it was very nice to win for the second time there.
I think it's just maybe the first big classic I can win, and yeah, I still believe I can.
Yes, Oscar Freire there has won 2 of the 4 Spanish victories in Milan-San Remo. No Norwegian has yet won, but Hushoff has finished 3rd in 2005. Now they're at it again, Bob.
No Americans won either. Will Frischhorn may be the first man likely to do that. He's in the breakaway. I would be very surprised, however, if the sprinters team get it wrong and let that breakaway stay away. Slipstream, David Miller also coming to do this, and that'll be interesting to see how David Miller does in a very long race. Not exactly his specialty. They do have a fast sprinter in Julian Dean, and big Maggie Backstead also on the Slipstream squad. Tyler Farrar, he led the Tour of California for a day because of his sprinting skills, but 300 Ks, he's a young pro, maybe a bit too far this year anyways, but Slipstream having a great season in 2008.
Good mixed team there, including Chris Sutton of Australia too. He really is a find, and I think we'll have a great season on this squad. Well, tempo work being done by Lampre now to try and close it down, because they've got a good sprinter in Alessandro Ballan, and that's one they want to start to show signs of reversing this. Up front 2 men from Rabobank for Oscar Freire. This is what the sprinters must do, put 1 or 2 workhorses on the front. We've got a rider up there for Thor Hushoff as well. The gap though, Bob, despite all this work, and we're still on the slopes of the Bertha, is 4:18.
4:18, the gap's going up a little bit, mostly because of these attacks. The Tinkoff team not bringing a big sprinter, so what they need to do is attack Rovny off the front. He's the Russian rider. Oleg Tinkoff, the sponsor of this squad, that's his namesake, and this is a great little attack by the Tinkoff team. They're going to need to do this throughout the finale to soften up the legs of the sprinters and not give them a free ride to the finish line. Little replay here of the attack by Ivan Rovny from Tinkoff Credit Systems.
Well, they want to make a big impression this year as well. They're not a Pro Tour team as yet, as if it matters in the world these days, because Astana, who is a Pro Tour team, can't get a ride anywhere. Here we're looking here at Ivan Rovny now putting in a move. These are the attacks the race wants to see now. The carrots going out front, so the reaction comes, because that breakaway is doing a very exceptional performance. They're in the tough section of the road now, but in miles, Bob, we are talking around about 35 to go, which isn't a long way.
Not a long way at all, especially the caliber of riders of the Tinkoff squad. You mentioned a moment before, Astana not invited to Milan-San Remo, and that's a real shame. I don't know what they've done to offend the Italian selectors of these races. At the same time, 25 teams in Milan-San Remo and almost 200 athletes, 199 riders, and that makes for some very nervous conditions, especially on these narrow roads.
Well, the pace being set at the moment there by Matteo Bruscagin, our famous Italian there. I think he's only won 1 race as a pro, and that was his national time trial championship. De Luca there just in our picture as well. Well, the pace is now very much on here. I can't see that group. Oh, poor old Will's got a bit of cramp creeping in there, but he deserves that cramp. He's been out in front for about 5 hours today. Exceptional ride by these 3 riders. They were 4, and the field has got to be closing in. We'll take a short break again.
Look at them. You give them the best years of your life, shuttling them around. Then they go away on 1 vacation without you. And all they can talk about is that Hummer from Avis. I'd like to see that Hummer have to take them to the stupid mall 3 times a day. Actually, I take that back.
With dozens of the hottest cars to choose from, there's a reason Avis is your other car.
There is nothing like the satisfaction of making ideas come to life. It requires a vision.
But most of all, it requires the collaboration of many talented professionals dedicated to the completion of these projects. The bachelor degree program in construction management in the School of Drafting and Design at ITT Technical Institute offers educational opportunities that can help students prepare for challenging and rewarding careers in the construction industry. Areas of study include building codes, site construction and measurement, construction documents, and construction project management. There's a demand for individuals with knowledge and skills to manage construction projects. Many ideas remain to be built. Help make them a reality. ITT Technical Institute School of Drafting and Design. Education for the future. To find out more, call 1-800-488-3116 or visit us on the web.
How did you fellers get way out here?
The all-new Terex 4x4, 750 cc's of get up and go. Get going now with great deals and low payments on all new Kawasaki vehicles.
What's that? Check it out, Dave. What do you got there, Dave?
Looks like someone's thunder thighs.
They must have lost them playing in the snow with their kids. Let's get back to work.
What is that thing?
Looks like somebody's double chin. Must have lost it snacking on fruits and vegetables.
Somebody's gonna trip on that.
Welcome back. We're around about 33 miles from the finish here, but of course the big climb still to come, the Cipressa and the Poggio, Bob. This is the face of Will Frischnorn, absolute hero today, out in front virtually from the flag.
250 kilometers plus so far in the breakaway, and that will put a strain on your back and also on your legs. Will Frischnorn has earned every bit of rest he's going to get after this race.
It is an enormous distance, and the climbs this year have been pretty tough out in the middle of the course. They haven't broken the field up, but bet your life we'll see what happens over these last few kilometres. It must have weakened today a lot of riders. Remember, 199 riders took the start today. The gap is still nosing at 4 minutes 22. Rovny, who was on the attack, is still out in front. As De Luca here, just in front of the camera. New colours for him this time around. But still the oil for drugs campaign still hanging over him, as he's not sure yet whether or not he will have to serve a suspension for that involvement in this drug controversy, Bob.
Winner of last year's Giro d'Italia. A few years ago, he was involved with the now ill-reputed Dr. Santuccione. And so Danilo De Luca, a lot of questions hovering over his head, whether or not he will be extended. He's already served a 3-month suspension for his involvement with that. And apparently the Italian authorities were going to ask him some more questions in about 10 days' time and determine his ability to race henceforth.
Well, one thing's for sure, cycling certainly knows how to drag out the drugs investigations, and not least, of course, the current hearing concerning Floyd Landis, which is very, very quiet at the moment. Although it's taking place, nobody is hearing what actually is going on. So as we look here, in the middle is Rovny, to the left and out of camera now the three leaders, and on the right the peloton, who seem now to be trying to get something organised. They're all trying to put sprinters' men up in front, the so-called domestiques, the helpers of the team, because by tradition this race comes down to a sprint at the end.
Rovny in the middle there. Also, little fan club for Bettini, Forza Bettini, and let's see what the current world champion can do. He's won this race. He is speaking there in the middle of your screen to Giovanni Visconti, his teammate. Visconti, the champion of Italy currently. That's Rovny in between the two groups. He took off from the peloton when the breakaway still had about 4 minutes time. We'll see if he can catch them. That's a pretty big gap. for him to close down.
I must say, Bob, that Bettini got bigger support in the Amgen Tour of California than just a handful of spectators on the side of the road. He was very popular on that race in the month of February. There he is anyway. He came to the start this morning, Bob, completely wrapped up from head to toe with all the clothes for a winter event. I think he's found out, though, it is spring today.
Well, that's the great thing about Milano-San Remo. It starts up in Milano, the industrial capital of Italy, the richest city in the whole country, and it moves south and to the west towards the coast and then along the coast. So as the riders get closer to San Remo, the weather generally keeps on getting better, and that's why they love Milano-San Remo so much. All of the riders love to come and do this race, and of course the spectators love to come out and watch it.
Well, it's the most beautiful part of the world here, and the finish today particularly difficult because we have a longer run away from the Poggio. They've added on some 4 kilometers to the day, but it's not so the 4 kilometers, it's the corners which come before the final lineup for the finish. Could be very, very interesting today, that's for sure. And the sprinters know they've got to control this race. But first of all, the number one problem is, how do they catch up with these 3 riders? And Frischkorn has been more than adding to this pace today. There he is, giving the colours of Slipstream Chipotle a good airing on television. We'll take a break.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
Kari Rigg is a real Geico customer, not a paid celebrity. So to help tell her story, we hired Peter Frampton.
My car was totally smashed in an accident.
Not a great way to start the morning.
And the tow truck that the police called damaged it even more.
I wanted to pull my hair out.
Geico handled everything quick and easy. It felt great.
Do you feel like I do?
Geico. Real service, real savings.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
See you tomorrow, Steve.
Do not let her get gum. You know that's Tony Stewart!
Tony, get the camera!
I've got the camera. Oh, Tony, he's a huge fan. Ready?
Tony, you okay?
Armor All wash, wipes, and tire shines. Go ahead, stare. And for even better defense against UV rays, try new and improved Armor All Protectant.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. Every leg-burning sprint, every lung-searing climb, every bone-jarring wreck, and every exultant finish of the 2008 cycling season. Spring cycling kicks in overdrive with the Milan-San Remo and the Tirreno-Adriatico, tonight at 5. Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels, only on Versus.
Will was one of the first kind of more established domestic riders that decided to come our direction onto a smaller development team, and he bought into my sort of overall dream fairly early on. A really intelligent rider, a great teammate, and someone who I think has a big future in the classics.
I think over the course of the season, and over the course of your career, you start learning riders and you start realizing, when these guys are attacking, that's the one you want to be with. When these guys are, it's kind of whether it's a softener, it's just there's a lesser chance, and that's one of the things that's, you watch a rider that's always in the breakaways. It's a really hard role. It's a skill that not that many guys can develop. Every race that we go to this year, especially those in the US, we're going there to win.
Well, there you have it. Jonathan Vaughters recognising the talent and Frischkorn proving what he can do best, and that's riding the breakaway, Bob.
The breakaway is very difficult to find the exact moment to go. Generally speaking, these races are so fast, you only have one chance to get into the breakaway. Once the break is established, of course, the peloton reluctant to let anybody else get up there, so they generally chase down the second, third, fourth attempts. So it's almost impossible to find the breakaway. Some riders have the instinct for it, and they know exactly when to go, when the right moment is. And in this race, Milano-San Remo, if we go back to 1982, a rider by the name of Mark Gomez attacked at the start with Alain Bondu, and they stayed away all the way to the finish. But finding the break is almost impossible. But Will Frischhorn has done that in the 2008 Milano-San Remo, and that is a great feather in his cap.
And if Bondu hadn't have fallen off, of course, as he always tells us, he would have won and not Gomez, but we'll never know. Anyway, this beauty here, there's undulations, the corrugations here as we run down the side of the sea. But I'll tell you what, I noticed Frere there, Bob. He was lying about 40th, 50th in the peloton, although it's in a long line. He'll need to move up and pay more attention. And this young man here, Rovi rather, is staying away. They're not bringing him back, which to me is an indication they've yet to turn up the power.
They think they are still waiting for the last couple of climbs of the day, the Cipressa and the Poggio, and that's when everybody will need to be in the front to have a chance to win the stage. In the meantime, the breakaway still has a little bit of breathing room between the peloton and Rovny, who's trying to chase down. I'm not sure that he'll make the juncture, and the guys in the front, the three in the front, about a 4-minute advantage when Rovny left, but he's about halfway across the gap right now.
Well, when they built the villages here in Italy, they weren't imagining global warming, because very soon this lot might be falling in the sea. But they're right on the edge here as the riders skirt on what is almost a balcony for these houses. It's a beautiful area. And Bob, you know the tactics. They're playing for all to see. How many times did you ride Milan-San Remo?
4 or 5 times, and every time I got the tactics wrong, so I know them pretty well, at least how to lose. Now the gap's starting to come down, just under 3 minutes.
Yes, that's a big drop now. They've really turned the screw a little bit now, and it's because of this attack too by the Tinkoff rider. We're inside 30 miles to go to the finish now, and this is a big field here. The thing about Milan-San Remo, Bob, it is a big field that starts. They ride at a very rapid pace, yet the vast majority of the starters get to the finish.
The finish line is 300 Ks from the start, and the hills, while challenging, and they have a tendency of breaking the race up, these are top pros, and they can get to the finish line of just about anything.
Well, that's where we're heading, but still there's a matter of catching 3 riders up front. See you in a moment.
Crimes are an unfortunate part of our society. The field of criminal justice is full of men and women, both in the public eye and behind the scenes, working to secure our future. The ITT Technical Institute School of Criminal Justice teaches the fundamentals of the criminal justice system and criminal justice skills. Graduates may be ready to pursue a broad spectrum of careers in the private sector, as well as entry-level positions involving criminal justice, including parole and probation, community corrections, and court systems. Be one of the many dedicated Americans who participate in making our nation a better and safer place for us all. ITT Technical Institute School of Criminal Justice, education for the future. To find out more, call 1-800-488-3116 or visit us on the web.
Lance Armstrong runs the 112th Boston Marathon, live April 21st on Versus.
Attention.
Life force is running out.
If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, word life. If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, word life. If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, word life. If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, word life, yeah.
G4X play, mighty crackle.
Discover the Breckenridge experience. The Spring Massive Beer Festival is on Saturday, April 12th. 17 breweries, live entertainment, an unforgettable weekend. Experience it all as a VIP. Hyatt Residence Club at Main Street Station presents Brewmasters VIP Weekend. A 5-course Paulaner Brewmasters dinner, early admission to the beer festival, a commemorative beer stein, catered lunch in the VIP room, the best accommodations, and much more. Call the Hyatt for your VIP package.
Every exultant finish. Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels. Next Sunday at 5 on Versus.
Well, we're back here and we're looking at the three heroes of the day, and that is what they are now as they continue the undulations here and still making a lot of the pace work. At the back at the moment is William Frischkorn. 3 riders away and they're still being chased by Rovny. The gap to him is 2.5 minutes. We're waiting for the gap back to the peloton.
Rovny has taken about 1.5 minutes out of the breakaway in just a few kilometers, so that's good riding by the Tinkoff man. And here's the big peloton, that swarming mass of riders, and Lampre is on the front. They have a very fast sprinter in Danilo Napolitano. Also, they have a man that's capable of going in the breakaway, Alessandro Ballan, one of the top teams in Italy. They have one of the big stars also, and that is going to be a big, long, hard day for the men on the Lampre squad, but they have 2 weapons to use in the finale of Milano-San Remo.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. Well, this is the lower slopes here of the Capoberta. I thought it was further back down the road, but this is it. It takes us through 25 miles to go. Now, don't forget NHL on Versus this week. Tomorrow night, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they'll battle for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. On Tuesday, the 2 rivals separated by 100 miles, only a few points in the standings, and Madison Square Garden will be rocking when the Flyers meet the Rangers. It all happens at the NHL on Versus during this week. Enjoy that as we continue our coverage now of Milan-San Remo, and this poor man here, Rovny, caught in no man's land.
These are the flat roads before the Capoberta, the Cipressa and Poggio still to come. And of course, here's the big peloton, and they will be chasing flat out in a few kilometers' time. Still a little bit of relaxation in the group. The roads will start to get more narrow, and each time that this main road on the coast turns inland and goes up one of the climbs, then things will become very competitive. A big group in Milano-San Remo this year, 199 riders. Of course, that's contrary to the edits of the UCI, but the UCI losing control of the sport currently.
That's absolutely right, Bob, and it looks as though Lampre are trying to regain control here of Milan-San Remo as they put their riders up in front. They're looking to steer Alessandro Ballan to the finishing line today, but first of all, they need to pick up Rovny and then concentrate on the 3 riders up front. 2:30 is the gap. That is the gap, though, between this rider and the leaders, and we're not getting a time gap on the peloton just now, but I have a feeling it is not that much because they too are on the lower slopes of this climb.
Well, Rovny not making any further progress closer to the breakaway. Tactics saying that you wait till the breakaway is caught before you attack. No one told the Tinkoff squad. And Lampre, they know what they need to do. They need to keep the pace high and do a very hard attack here when we see Alessandro Ballan maybe on the Cipressa, maybe on the Poggio, looking down at Bettini and his teammate Visconti. There's big Tom Bonin, also the teammate of Bettini. He has got a great chance, maybe the best chance he's ever had in his career to win Milano-San Remo.
Tom Boland's been very quiet so far today. That's to be expected of a sprinter who is having a terrific ride. I've got a feeling, though, that maybe he's losing a little bit of his form. He's won 5 races, Tom Boland, this year. But the last few outings by Tom have not been the big morale boosters that we normally have.
A little attack here. It looks like Bernard Cole of the Gerolsteiner squad trying to get across to Rovny. So it didn't take long for the peloton to close the gap on the Capoberta to Rovny. And the Gerolsteiner team now on the attack. This will soften up the sprinters' legs. And for an attacking finale, for his breakaway to stay away, they have to attack on this climb and the next 2 climbs before the finish.
Good move this by Cole as they started the stepping stones to heaven now, which will take them to the finish over the horizon in San Remo. This is where the moves have to come, and now we should see the time gap begin to tumble. But this is a solid move here as Cole continues to push the pace. Remember, on his team, he's got David Rebellin as the man who wants to win today. Good sprinter, too, in Heinrich Hausler. So the Austrian willing to stir trouble.
Bernard Cole on the attack, Lampre covering it, and Bernard Cole great in the mountains. These are a little bit less steep and less long in distance than the big mountains we see later in the summer. It's testing. However, Bernard Cole, he might need a few more kilometers of climbing to get away from the peloton.
Could be Michael Albacini, who's just got on the back there, the leaky gas rider, who's joined him up there. But they've just got an edge here. But now look how they're starting to fragment off the front. These are the moves which should be controlled. Lampre are right up there. That's interesting as they now start to move up for Alessandro Ballan. Everything's happening. And don't forget Oscar Freire. More on him when we come back.
Watching him ride, whether it's at training or in a race, it's just unbelievable to see.
I did a good season, so I am happy. Who does she think she's kidding? You know what she's been doing in Miami. You sit here, staring at a cement wall, alone, and she has the gall to just show up 3 days later, toss her bag in the back, and pretend she doesn't smell like new car. She was with a Prius hybrid. Oh, so now suddenly she's an environmentalist.
With dozens of the hottest cars to choose from, there's a reason Avis is your other car.
Welcome to the Sign Then Drive event. Ta-da! What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
What's happening?
If you want, I could put a sold sign on the car.
No, this works just fine.
The Sign Then Drive event is back. No down payment, no first month's payment, zero due at signing.
How did you fellers get way out here?
An all-new Terex 4x4, 750 cc's of get up and go. Get going now with great deals and low payments on all new Kawasaki vehicles.
Now you can slow down and grill with new Kingsford Hickory Charcoal.
Sometimes even cold weather needs a refreshing twist. Miller Chill, the only light beer brewed with a hint of lime and salt. Chill is in the air.
I love winning. Josh has good hands. Sometimes he just loses the ball.
It's the glasses.
2 words. Contact lenses.
AccuView Oasis is the only lens with HydroClear Plus.
Wow, I can't feel them at all.
Josh got AccuView. Josh got his game bag.
For a free trial pair certificate, go to AccuView.com.
Every game means a lot. I think pressure makes you better. As the games get tighter, it feels like you're already in the playoffs. When we face the Flyers, it's always intense games. And the only thing you can really guarantee is that you're gonna go out there and do your best. Expect anything.
The NHL on Versus, Flyers Rangers, Tuesday at 7:30.
Welcome back to Milan-San Remo. Down there is Oscar Freire. He wears #1 because he won this race last year. He's also won it before. He is a great sprinter, and as he's shown us in Tirreno-Adriatico with 2 wins, he is bang on form. Here's our Hampton Hotels profile.
Last year was one of the best years in my career.
Oscar Freire takes it on the line with an incredible result.
We won the Milan-San Remo and also a lot of stages, and in the Vuelta it was really good.
Oscar Freire has done it again. He has never sprinted so well.
I did a good season, so I am happy.
He brings the victories. You're always sure from Oscar that he brings you almost 10 victories a year, and he wins a lot of big races. It's not only small stages somewhere, and then the stages in the Tour he can win. So he's always there. Yeah, for us, he's a very important rider because it gives the team a confidence. No, you have to have a rider who you can work for and who win big races, and he's doing that for many years. Watching him ride, whether it's at training or in a race, it's just unbelievable to see.
Oscar is a perfect sprinter who can also get over really, really tough hills, and I think that's also his main, his strong point. He can sprint. A lot of sprinters can't follow the peloton, and he's still there, and then he also can win sprints when it's totally flat. So yeah, a real winner.
He's a champion, but he doesn't act like a champion in the team. He's not that he's shouting at the Spaniards or the mechanics. He's always human, and I think that's very important from him. Everybody wants to do something special for him because he's like that.
He just really is super, super talented.
Yes, Oscar Freire, our athlete profile of the day from Hampton Hotels. Bob, you know when he won his World Road title for the first time in '99, he couldn't speak a word of English.
Well, now he's speaking great English, and it was a pleasure to have him come out to the Tour of California, interact with the fans. Very low-key rider, but when the big races are on the line, you can never count the Spaniards. Fast man, Oscar Freire, 3 times world champion.
Absolutely. Coda del Grupo, the tail of the bunch, and that's where we were looking there. We're now showing you across the profile here. The gap is continuing to fall now. The boys are revving on the front here now. We are just 19 miles from the finish, and the tempo is on now as they're trying desperately to close up on what has been a terrific attack all day by Savini, Belosevic and Fishkorn.
Al traguardo, 30 kilometri, 30 kilometers to the finish line, about 18 miles. Big George Hincapie there on the white jersey for Team High Road. It looked like LPR breaks. The team of Danilo De Luca was on the front there doing the chase. The gap is in one side within 1 minute, and De Luca, this might be his last race for a long time, depending on how his hearing goes with the Italian anti-doping committee, CONI they're called, and so he wants to do something special in Milan-San Remo, and the finishing straightaway absolutely jam-packed with fans.
I've just seen a young Bob Roll growing up there behind the barriers, but anyway, back to the race as they're now sending all the helpers up here now. They're driving now. These are the dangerous sectors of Milan-San Remo, the narrow road, 43 seconds. They are eating up the field now. Liquigas are getting on board as well. Freire has sent his men up for Rabobank here. De Luca sent his riders up, and the whole field trying to get in on the action. I'd like to see a couple of riders up from Team High Road, but I think I just did, about 8 men down.
That is none other than Juan Antonio Flecha, a great rider in his own right. He's been up there on the podium in the classics before, and he is right at the front of the bike race. That's the type of man you have to win a race like this, and Oscar Freire will follow Flecha through this very dangerous finale of the bike race. What a great teammate to have on Rabobank for Oscar Freire in the form of Juan Antonio Flecha.
Now let's just have a look here, just who is doing all of the work here. The rider there on De Luca's team is Riccardo Chiarini from LPR, who's the pacemaker. Remember, we're getting into teenage figures now with mileages to go. This looks like Rovny about to get wiped out. Oh, this is the leader. Sorry, that's the leader. That was Belosevic at the front here because he's Fishkorn. And the other rider is Savini. They're desperate moments now. They're giving everything. Those legs must be absolutely screaming with pain because they have been in the lead now for around about 260 kilometers. That is a remarkable breakaway by any standards. No one goes training for that length of time on their own, do they? And these boys are still fighting. Remember, ahead still lies the Cipressa, then the Poggio, then it's a little bit further down to the finishing line today, and I reckon anything could happen. We'll take another short break. See you in just a moment.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
Hey, Ted. What are you doing?
Getting ready for our big tent event.
Well, it's not that kind of tent.
Oh, yeah. That is better.
A tent event that could only come from Subaru. Through March 31st, get a great deal on any Subaru at the Small Tent Big Event, like the all-wheel drive Forester. With available stability control, it's an IIHS top safety pick. And now it comes with $2,000 cash back, plus 0% APR financing.
This yellow one is for my postpartum depression. This one, sciatica, whatever that is. I got these after my hysterectomy, or my prostatectomy, or stomectomy. And this guy is for the pain from my last hip replacement. And this orange one is... gotta go.
For teens, getting drugs can be as easy as opening your medicine cabinet.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. Every leg-burning sprint, every lung-searing climb, every bone-jarring wreck, and every exultant finish of the 2008 cycling season. 3 stages in 2 days. Jens Voigt looks to repeat in the 77th Criterium International. Next Sunday at 5 on Versus.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Do aches, pains, and arthritis have you in their grip? Break the grip with new Aspercream Heat Gel. Extra strength medicine delivers penetrating heat relief without embarrassing odor. Fast pain relief that keeps you going for hours. Aspercream, break the grip of pain.
It's the storm of the century. Thousands have been evacuated to... Winds have been clocked as high as 175 miles an hour.
Get a super relaxing mattress at an equally relaxing price. Head into Denver Mattress for our guest bed special. Right now, we're offering for the first time ever 5 years, no interest with no payments for the first 6 months. Hurry in, this offer ends soon. Denver Mattress, more mattress, less money.
We're back and we're climbing the giant of the day, I suppose, Bob, especially at this stage of the race. They're on the Cipressa now.
The Cipressa, 275.9 kilometers from the start in Milano, and you can imagine how the legs are aching now for our breakaway. And it looks like Savini is having a little bit of trouble. Milosevic's making the tempo, but Will Frischhorn still hanging tough on that wheel.
Well, Milosevic and Frischhorn hanging in strong there, but I think Savini, he's the youngster at 22, first-year pro. A long way since he won stage 8 in Bucket Fraser in the Tour of Langkawi. Look at this, Bettini's waiting for the Cipressa, dancing on the pedals, he's flying away.
Bettini's attack now. This will make all the Italians go absolutely insane. And this is the high road rider doing the chase down there. Bettini, though, the first attack on the Cipressa.
Well, the team high road rider, I think, was Lundqvist there, who's tried to reach him as he made a quick move to bridge the gap. And he's a strong boy and he's going well for team high road. Well, this is what they waited for. They just got them down to within manageable reach, and now it is every man for himself. And look at the tempo here. Paolo Bettini, 2 times the world champion, is giving it his best shot. He's gone very early, but right on the back there is Lundqvist from Team High Road.
Lundqvist having a great spring so far, was 3rd in Tirreno just a few days ago. So Lundqvist from Team High Road making that acceleration to cover the breakaway by Paolo Bettini, and they have a clear set of wheels. There's going to have to be a big reaction from the field for Paolo Bettini.
Well, maybe it'll come here, because we're looking here at Carlos Barredo here, who's also on form of Quick-Step. He's had a win this year as he comes up too. He means he's there to do the work for Tom Bonen as the riders start to slip back into the field. I think that was Savini they swept up as the field now on the narrow roads here. You've really got to get to the front and work hard here, because this is quite a long climb here as the riders make their way up. There is Danilo De Luca, but the split has started. There's got to be a reaction from the field. They can't let the world champion ride away on the Cipressa.
They must chase pretty soon, because once Bettini gets a little bit of daylight, you almost never see him again until after the finish line when he's on the podium. Here's an attack from the K de Parn squad, trying to get across now to Bettini and Lundqvist in the front.
Well, this looks like Gutierrez, who is starting a move here. Give a case to Parn. They've also got riders on form, but it's a good move by Team High Road as well. The team based in Luis Obispo, remember, in California. Lundqvist is 3rd in the Tirreno-Adriatico. It might be worth saying, you know, Bob, that the high finishes in Tirreno, but there's never been a man to do the double since Mauricio Fondriest. And he was the last man to do the double of Milan-San Remo and Tirreno. And Lundqvist finished 3rd, so maybe that's where you should come from to win.
Paris-Nice, the other stage race to prepare Milano-San Remo. We haven't had a winner from that in a long time. Torhushov trying to reverse that trend. But both of these men, both participating in Tirreno-Adriatico. Of course, that's a no-brainer for Paolo Bettini, the Italian world champion on the quick-step squad. And now he's said that he's not in very good form. Maybe that was a little bit of gamesmanship on the part of Paolo Bettini. Jose Ivan Gutierrez trying to get across to Bettini and Lundqvist. And Bettini obviously on pretty good form. He's left the field behind on the Cipressa.
Well, the former champion of Spain here is a good time trialist too. He's trying to reach them and he's found his legs. A little bit of a surprise. They're allowing so many big names off the head of this bunch without a reaction. Is this the new cycling season coming at us with a change? Are the riders now, in fact, nobody on drugs anymore, so they can't control it? It's all questions one must legitimately ask at the moment. But what a talent is Löfqvist, Bob. He's 23 years of age, and he won't be 24 for another 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks? Well, this would be a great early birthday present for Thomas Löfqvist to find the breakaway with Bettini and get to the finish line before the peloton catches him. One would expect Milram needs to start coming to the front pretty soon, as well as Tirreno-Adriatico for their two sprinters, Pataki and Tor Hushovd.
And another team we've seen nothing of, Silence Lotto for Robbie McEwen. We just haven't seen that. Robbie did say at the start he didn't rate his chances today, but how often do you believe a sprinter when it comes down to a punch sprint?
Anywhere from none to never times you want to believe him. Here is the Rabobank squad at the front, and here is an attack by the Lamprey squad now.
Well, this is Lamprey, as you say, on the attack. I didn't quite catch his number, but he's got the riding style here of Francesco Javier, I think it was, that just shot away from the group. We'll catch up with him in a minute, but this is the move now as they try to close down the gaps. In fact, it was Francesco Javier. 10 out of 10 for that one.
That's Vila, and Pachi Vila, his nickname, a good attacking rider. We saw him go on a long breakaway in Paris-Nice and get a stage win there. Pachi Vila, he's a lone Spaniard on the Italian Lamprey squad, and Milano-San Remo, probably the biggest one-day race for any Italian team or rider. So Pachi Vila trying to get up to this breakaway by Bettini and Löfqvist.
He's a man who finds his form very early on. He made his name when he was an unknown in Paris-Nice, Pachi Vila, and now he's trying to get across to the leaders here. Löfqvist has been doing a lot of work for the moment. I think the huge effort by Bettini is telling. He's sitting there, and when you start looking over your shoulder to see the proximity of who is chasing, usually a sign life is not going too well at the top. As we continue here with Joaquim Rodriguez, who's also bang on form. Remember his win in Tirreno-Adriatico. He knows he's got the condition.
Well, this is Rodriguez. He's got to be a little bit careful because his teammate is in between the leaders and the peloton. So a little like a searching attack there by Rodriguez, and he's allowed the peloton to get back up to him, as well as the Lamprey man, Pachi Vila, getting caught back again. Great to see the Tirreno-Adriatico riders of Tor Hushovd coming to the front, but they need to catch Paolo Bettini. That's not going to be any easy order for any team in Milano-San Remo this year.
No, the cricket's found his legs, I think. Il Grillo here has gone back up to the front here. He's pulling with him a very strong young rider in Thomas Löfqvist. Didn't win a stage in Tirreno-Adriatico, but he did finish third overall in that race, so he's got good, consistent form. Team High Road are ready for a big win right now. They put a strong team in this race. The field are packing at the front, looking as though they're waiting for somebody else now to make the next move.
This is going to be a very dangerous situation. Euskaltel Euskadi on the attack again. So there's almost no respite for the peloton and a lot of attacking race. No team being able to control it. We're not sure if they have the legs or if it's just the tactics and they're waiting for the Poggio climb. But there's just a few Ks of flat roads left. And look at that gap, up to 21 seconds. This is very dangerous. And it looks like Iteris coming back into the group.
Well, this looks like Inigo Landaluz of Euskaltel Euskadi, not riders we talk about in classics. This is David Rebellin, who's taken over the running, though. That is why we saw Cole doing well earlier on. And Rebellin himself is on terrific form this week. He's a man for the early races, but he's never done exceptionally well in this, although he has had places on the podium.
Dan, the Rebellin there, the attacking rider that won Paris-Nice after trying for about 14 seasons. So obviously Rebellin on good form. He's going to have a long. Oh, and there's a crash. And it looks like Landaluz going down there, just sitting on the wheels. And now Rebellin is having to do the work by himself.
Well, that is a really, really bad luck. And the rider who's finally getting himself into gear there is Carlos Barredo. Let's have a look again at that crash. As oh dear, the Euskaltel boy, it's a horrible feeling when you touch wheels and you can't pull off it. It feels like you've got a magnet pulling you into the ground. But there's no doubt he's gone down there, and I'm not too sure who it was, Bob, but I think it was Igor Martinez.
That is an incredible turn of events for Rebellin, who finds himself alone in the front there after being in a small little breakaway chasing these two men. That will give them a chance to extend their lead a little bit. A big pile of confusion at the front of the peloton.
Well, Milan-San Remo last year was also a horrible series of crashes towards the end. Riders get a little bit desperate, and of course at this time of the day they are very, very tired, but they're still in a winning position. Just look at the face here of Paolo Bettini. He's made the move. He must be thanking his lucky stars. He's found himself joined by a very strong man, and the two of them tried to get away. And that looks as though Juan Jose was being dropped there. The rider, Juan Jose Oroz from Euskaltel Euskadi. Enough is enough. Little bit of daylight down there. They're coming up towards the leaders, I think, here, as they're being joined here now. So this is interesting now. Rebellin is coming up. This is going to be a strong join now. 4 big riders. Let's pan back and see. The field is exploding.
Axelsen is the rider with Rebellin coming across to our 2 leaders. An absolute demolition in the peloton. Riders scattered all over the Cipressa climb. There's a descent. It's a very technical, dangerous descent, but Paolo Bettini probably knows it better than anybody in this bike race. Then a few flat kilometers before the final climb of the Poggio.
Well, if I was a sprinter now, I would be getting a little bit concerned about this move, because this is a great move.
This is the riders from the field attacking. Here goes the K-Deparn team again. They've been very, very aggressive so far, trying to get across to our 4 leaders. Rebellin and Bettini, 2 of the biggest stars in Italian cycling in that breakaway right now. That looked to be Pablo Lastras, a very strong athlete from Spain and the K-Deparn squad. He's being joined by another rider right now. They're going to have a tall order to catch our breakaway. Could that be Danilo Di Luca?
That is Danilo Di Luca who's trying. No, it's Il Falco himself showing you how to descend. That's how he got his nickname. As Paavo Savidelli now tries to reach them as well. So he's replaced Di Luca on the LPR team. What goes up comes down. Il Falco goes down better than anybody else. He's trying to bridge.
Il Falco, Paolo Savidelli, twice winner of the Giro d'Italia. He is trying to come across to the 4 leaders, and he is the best descender in cycling today. And Lastras trying to get on Il Falco's wheel, Paolo Savidelli. Here's our leaders. Savidelli just behind on your screen. You can see him, Testa della Corsa. That is the front of the bike race. But Savidelli, if he has a few kilometers downhill, I don't think anybody can stay away from him. There is Cancellata. He is staying right in the front where he needs to.
It's wipeout time now for the Brave Escapers. They've gone. These are the riders now are planning victory on the 99th running of Milan-San Remo. And it's anybody's race right now. And the sprinters are getting a right royal battering just now, Bob, because they can't control the race.
Absolutely no control in the peloton. Lots of attacks. Savidelli is the latest to try to get across to Rebellin. He went away and he joined Bettini. Bettini very astutely going away at the early slopes of the Cipressa, and all kinds of chaos behind our 4 leaders. Savidelli, the latest man for the LPR squad, trying to get across. And here, look how narrow these roads are.
Well, this is the danger. And now when you're at the back of the field and you are compressed around the corner, you suddenly find yourself 500 and 600 yards behind the leaders, and you've got to make it back up again. But look at the speed of descent here by Paolo Savidelli. He knows exactly when to touch those brakes. He is about to pick up the leaders here, and that was a terrific piece of descending, because there they are. They have no time to take a note of the beautiful blue sea out there, because they are heading for the big climb of the day, the Poggio, and now Paolo Savidelli is in the mix. See you in a moment.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
I always took everything apart as a kid. Always wanted to know how things worked.
All of his toys, the batteries always ended up out of. I always thought I'd come home to a refrigerator that was torn apart.
Electronics were always intriguing to me. I felt the best course of action would be pursue that as a career, something I loved. Oh, I wish I could get my mother to shut up about how proud she is. Everyone in my family is very happy. They're very glad to see me on the right track.
I always knew when he found his niche, he would excel, and he has, and the school has definitely been there to support him all the way through.
In my job, I get to travel quite a bit. I've been to Japan a couple of times. I love going new places, trying new food, meeting new people. I feel very successful. I just want people to look at me, feel that I succeed, and want to do the same for themselves.
We are educators helping people build a foundation for the rest of their lives. ITT Technical Institute, education for the future. Call 1-800-488-3116 or visit us on the web.
Laser sharp side-by-side performance. The world's toughest ATVs. The hardest working, smoothest riding utility vehicles. All at 3.99% APR. That's 3.99% on every trail shredding, stump pulling, dirt chewing, hose pounding, air racing, mud eating, track ripping, adrenaline pumping Polaris ATV or Ranger. the Polaris tough-to-beat sales event. Get 3.99% on all Polaris ATVs and Ranger.
Hello.
Are you at a bar? I thought you were too sick to come to my cousin's wedding.
No, honey, that's just the TV.
And now back to Jim in the newsroom.
The economic situation there.
Maxi mixers are going fast. How about a demo, Phil?
Timmy tried to cook a turkey in the dishwasher.
Looks like nothing's on.
I'll try and get some rest, all right?
Okay.
They got a little captain in them. Got a little captain in you.
Drink responsibly. Captain Morgan is proud to be made with Puerto Rican rum.
Welcome back. This is Paolo Savardelli, and these are the leaders. Well, we've just seen how Paolo Savardelli has used all of his descending skills here down what is one of the most dangerous descents in Milan-San Remo, hardly touching his brakes, taking perfect line. Let's just have a look what happened when others didn't take those descents so well a year ago.
Andrea Moletta from Gerolsteiner going down. That is a horrible crash. That is last year. That's what can happen when you overbake these corners. The Gerolsteiner rider, David Kulp, and he had a broken femur as a result of miscalculating that turn right there. And this is how dangerous Milano-San Remo is. The Cipressa, the descent, even more difficult than the climb.
Yeah, well, that really was a tragic crash there, and the roads were perfectly dry, as you can see. Slightly more sunny today as we go back to the action. That was the same bend there. And now this is Savardelli, used all of his skills. He really does take his life in his hands, but he goes downhill so quickly. The only man keeping up with him right now is our television camera, as Savardelli joins the four leaders, Rebellin, Axelsen, Lundqvist, and Paolo Bettini. This is looking a very solid move.
There is Bettini taking a look over his shoulder. He probably can't believe that Il Falco was able to catch the breakaway, and in just 3 corners of descending at the top of the Cipressa, the four were together. Now they've been joined by a very dangerous man on the descents. There's a policeman warning the riders. There is a very dangerous corner. That's the peloton getting through there safely so far. 20 Ks to go.
12 miles to the finish here, a little bit further than normal at this point in Milan-San Remo with the extra 4 kilometers added on. But make sure now that you don't stop watching, because this is the long and the fastest way down. The riders that back now, I don't think can recover from this, because we've got the Poggio to come. The sprinters are going to have to start doing things here with their stronger chasers, and they might have to use their lead-out men. This is the leading group. It's very strong. It's full of riders who are on form.
Absolutely on form. Rebellin just won Paris-Nice 1 week ago, so you know that he's on the best form, perhaps of his career, and in with the best chance for him to ever win Milano-San Remo. And Milano-San Remo, the big monument that every Italian dreams of winning at some point in the career, especially the big stars, and Rebellin would love to be able to do that. Oh, and there is right up on the barrier, and a Cofidis rider going down.
Well, that's another rider who can forget the finish in Milan-San Remo. David Miller's just slipped through on the inside there. Team High Road well represented and missed the crash. That's a remarkable thing about this descent, is the riders seem to fall of their own volition. Just this man completely overshot. Very painful run down the crash barrier, and a sharp braking by the Lamprey boy saved him a rather soft landing. I think from the cameras that looked like it was possibly Valentin who rides for Cofidis, but I'm not sure.
Cofidis squad, Tristan Valentin going down there. You can see how it gets stretched out on the descent. There's a few flat kilometers that are long and straight before the Poggio climb, but these are the testing parts of the race course, and this is when the sprinters team need to control the tempo and bring the breakaway back into the fold. Here is Savardelli, Il Falco, twice winner of the Giro d'Italia, Paolo Bettini, another great descender as well, Thomas Lundqvist from Team High Road. This is a very dangerous breakaway.
And this is a perfect move by Paolo Bettini. He's never happy when he's free running there. There it is, Tristan Valentin who went down, sadly, from Cofidis. They're the riders who have drugs on the team and yet still get in the Tour de France, but Astana can't understand that. As we see now, Cofidis left sitting on the road. But the riders coming down, back up with the leaders now, and there's Lundqvist looking extremely cool. If it came down to a sprint from these boys now, I'd put Thomas Lundqvist there in with a real big chance.
Most definitely. Now is the moment not to hesitate. These riders need to put maximum effort into this breakaway. Axelsen willing to do the work, Savardelli as well. Let's see if they still have power to hold off the whole peloton that's chasing just behind.
Well, I've never seen Paolo Savardelli look so sharp, Bob. He's really took that chance. He made a terrific descent to join the leaders. leaders, and this is a quality escape. They are trying to break the grip of the sprinters. This is a free-for-all, this race.
Absolute free-for-all. You can see the disorganization in the chasing. No big peloton, no group of sprinters teams to control the pacemaking, and so you have riders trying to get off one at a time, and a totally disorganized chase here. Nothing big. There it looks like Oscar Freire making that second group, and that looks like Alessandro Patacchi.
Yeah.
So heads up so far from the sprinters, but they don't have their teammates to chase down the breakaway.
I don't see Hushoft here, so he's not up here because Baden Cook is there. That was Baden Cook in his new colours. Almost didn't recognise him. Another sprinter be fancying his chances right now in the red of Barlow World. A very select group. They've absolutely shattered that peloton on the way down.
The way down, the descent of the Cipressa breaking up the peloton, some crashing on that, and you can see our men in the breakaway, Bettini, and that is Savodelli, followed by Axelson. They are cooperating well together, and they're going to need to do that all the way to the finish line to hold off the charging peloton. But the peloton has been broken up because of the danger of the descent of the Cipressa climb. One more climb before San Remo, and that is the Poggio.
Well, all these riders know where they are now. They're off the Cipressa, they're back on the coast road. They'll take a right turn, they'll be up the Poggio, and once over the top, a little bit further to the finish here. So it's far from done yet. Look at the face. This is Eric Zabel here, the 4 times winner, keeping an eye on Alessandro Patacchi. George Hincapie is there as well. So Team High Road, his best finish for George is 9th. He could better that today.
Most definitely. All sprinters, but no teammates. Here's the next group out on the road. That's the Liquigas squad, so perhaps Pozzato has not made that second group on the descent, and they were going to have to do a lot of work to catch back up to the second group on the road, let alone our 5 leaders up in the front. So a big, powerful, strong, very dangerous breakaway.
Well, you're right. Liquigas have got all the men at the front here, and that clearly indicates Filippo Pozzato, the 2006 winner, is not up with the leaders just yet. They're trying to bring this race back together. And what damage is that doing to their strength before we hit the Poggio? Because that is a lovely... And there they are. They're arriving, and it's all down to the chase by Liquigas to put Pozzato back in the thick of it.
Well, amazing heads-up riding there by the sprinters, Oscar Freire and Alessandro Patacchi. This is Gabriele Misaglia, good, solid Italian pro, but it's the Liquigas squad. Now they've come to the front. Now, finally, one sprinter's team has got control of the peloton. It's the Liquigas squad of Filippo Pozzato.
And that was Muriel Fischer there, the Brazilian on the team, who was just radioing back to the boss, I would think, saying, we've caught them up again. And now he slipped to the back there as the pacemaking's been taken over by Kjell Karlström. This race, as they say in football, leaves everything to play for except for Tristan Valentin, because he is down and out. See you in a minute.
That's Rusty Wallace, amazing driver. He's also my third cousin once removed. That's his brother, Mike Wallace, driver of the Geico Chevrolet. I can see why Geico sponsors Mike. And when he does well, people will think about saving money on car insurance. Whereas if I were driving that car, all they could think about is, there goes Lauren Wallace, greatest thing that ever climbed into a race car. Poor fella, he has no idea.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Now you can slow down and grill with new Kingsford Hickory Charcoal.
How did you fellers get way out here?
The all-new Terex 4x4, 750 cc's of get up and go. Get going now with great deals and low payments on all new Kawasaki vehicles.
The hotter the hot, the colder the cold, the greater the demand, the more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Built to last, only at AutoZone.
Sometimes even cold weather needs a refreshing twist. Miller Chill, the only light beer brewed with a hint of lime and salt. Chill is in the air.
Can I help you, sir?
Found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
May I have your attention, please? Would the owner of the spare tire, slightly hairy, with a little brown mole to the left of the belly button, it's an innie. Please report to the press box and retrieve your appendage. Well, they must have lost this parking further away from the stadium and walking in. Yeah. Okay, we're back to the action.
Yes, it's all action, and when you see the greenhouses, the flowers of the summer here, you know you're not far away from the start of the Poggio climb now. But let me remind you, Lance Armstrong, who is running his first Boston Marathon, proving that competitive spirit is not limited to just one sport. Watch out for the Boston Marathon. It's the 112th edition, and you can watch it live April 21st right here on Versus. Follow Lance in a different sport. I wonder what Lance would have done today, because this is a very difficult race to read now as they're trying to stay away. That group is still up front.
33 seconds, the gap continuing to go up, and that is good news for the breakaway. Thomas Lofquist, he's on great form, was just third in the Tirreno-Adriatico. Paolo Bettini, the world champion. David Rebellin, and of course Il Falco, Paolo Savidelli, catching as he does on the descent. What a great breakaway we have. These are the biggest stars in Italian cycling.
Well, there he is, the little world champion for the last 2 years. Grio, the cricket. He also guided himself with his tactical skills to a gold medal in 2004 in Athens in the Olympic Games. Has he made the move that will decide this year's Milan-San Remo? 33 seconds is the gap. The sprinters are in disarray. I can imagine down there, Bob, there's an awful lot of riders shouting at one another right now.
Oh, most definitely. Big gaps being opened up on the descent. It looked like the Liquigas squad with Pozzato was a little bit out of position compared to the other sprinters. This is CSC now coming to the front. Armo d'Italia, that's the name of the town, just before the Poggio climb. And the Poggio is the springboard where a lot of riders have used to win Milano-San Remo if the sprinters lose control of it. And they did not seem to have great control of the race on the slopes of the Cipressa. CSC doing the tempo. They have Fabian Cancellara. He could win this race if it comes back together.
Well, we've got Marcus Lundqvist setting the pace. O'Grady was just behind him. Karsten Kroon was also there. And the riders not working, Frank Schleck and Fabian Cancellara. So they are the two obvious leaders of the team, because the others are leading the chase right now. I suppose Cancellara is a good guess, because we know he's on form. He won the time trial and overall in Tirreno-Adriatico. And he is in this front group, although I'm not too sure how many riders are up here.
This is all of the peloton still chasing our breakaway. They're about 30 seconds ahead, and we're going to get onto the Poggio here just momentarily. Lofquist on great form. He is fourth wheel. Rebellin pedaling so easily, staying right there in the front group, and now the gap's coming down a little bit, but still they've got a decent advantage. Still some flat Ks before the turn to the right and straight up the Poggio, the last climb of Milano-San Remo.
Well, the people here have seen it all before. It's been running for 99 editions now, Milan-San Remo. But it's a good sight to see an Italian world champion in the leading group as time is running out for the rest of the race. 30 seconds is not a lot. It's a gap which can be springboarded once the climb starts at the Poggio, as they continue to set the pace up here now. And that looks like Frank Schleck to me, who's now doing the pace making.
Most definitely Frank Schleck on the front. You know, when Frank Schleck is chasing, that any breakaway is going to have a hard time staying away. There is Stuart O'Grady. He is also doing the tempo. So Fabian Cancellara has put his riders on the front, and he's going to have to finish it off. He can attack on the Poggio. He's a great descender, and there's no doubting his skills as a time trialist.
There's also the sprinter, Kurt Astle Arvidsson, who's also being kept safe, because sprinters usually win this race. Bettini is a sprinter as well as what we call a stayer, a man who can ride away with his own strength. There is Paolo Savidelli. He won't win the sprint. He needs to break away. He looks as though he's still recovering from the way down there, but I've never seen him ride so well for a long time. He looks good.
He looks great in the breakaway. Of course, his descending is, without question, probably the best in the peloton. He caught Bettini and Rebellin on the descent with Lofquist. These riders cannot hesitate at all. Axelsen still pulling through. He's having a great season towards the end of his career. Paolo Bettini as well. Never discount Paolo Bettini. He said he had bad form before the Worlds last year and went ahead and won.
That's an example. Never trust a rider when you're racing against him, Bob. As we're now looking down here, this small group, next up will be the start of the Poggio climb. Niklas Axelsen there is, as you say, Bob, he's in his early 30s now, but he's riding exceptionally well. But that gap looked to me as though it was coming down just a little bit. It didn't look 30 seconds to me.
This is what happens when the peloton gets organized and the sprinters' teams come to the front and cooperate with each other. That group looks to be quite a bit smaller than it was at the Cipressa climb, but that is the tempo being set by Team CSC, and what a juggernaut they are. They can catch just about anybody.
Well, I'll tell you, that turn by Frank Schleck has done all of the damage. That looks like the shadow of Stuart O'Grady, who's got himself on the front now. So it's Liquigas and Team CSC who are trying to shut this down again on the defensive before the start of another climb. They've got to get onto that group if they can, because surely there'll be a huge explosion this year on the Poggio. I think it's already happened, because this is a move here, and it's gone from Axelsen, I think. No, he's dropped back. Acceleration by Rebellin. Rebellin trying to shake off Bettini. No, he's back in there.
Bettini getting onto the back wheel, but look at the peloton just behind our 5 leaders, and Rebellin putting in his attack, and that is Liquigas on the front. Pozzato won this race the year before last, and we have to assume that all the sprinters right in there. Liquigas closing the gap down.
In the style of Bob Roll 20 years ago, a sprint across the gap at the head of the chase group, because Liquigas Domestiques have suddenly shut this down with the sprint of your life. The field in Milan-San Remo is still in the eye of the sprinters, but there's also the Poggio still to come, and that's next. We'll take a break.
Look at them. You give them the best years of your life, shuttling them around. Then they go away on one vacation without you, and all they can talk about is that Hummer from Avis. I'd like to see that Hummer have to take them to the stupid mall 3 times a day. Actually, I take that back.
With dozens of the hottest cars to choose from, there's a reason Avis is your other car.
Welcome to the Sign Then Drive event.
Ta-da! What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
What's happening?
If you want, I could put a sold sign on the car.
No, this works just fine.
The Sign Then Drive event is back. No down payment, no first month's payment, 0 due at signing.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
I'm a little nervous about retirement.
I wish things were a little more stable, especially now.
I want retirement to be easier.
I wish I had more of a guarantee.
At Bank of America, we can offer some certainty in an uncertain world. Open a CD IRA in a banking center near you or online at bankofamerica.com/IRA and start saving for retirement now.
Every game means a lot. When we face the Flyers, it's always intense games, and the only thing you can really guarantee is that you're gonna go out there and do your best. Expect anything.
The NHL on Versus, Flyers Rangers, Tuesday at 7:30.
It's like when you're going to breakaway, you don't know when it's the time for going. And this is like, I don't say it's a kind of feeling, but it's a kind of luck that you need, but you need to search the luck in the front, because in the back you never find luck, and behind in the peloton you never win races. It's a thing. But I know the next maybe thing that I can't take a chance on this is Milan-San Remo, because I know I'm the only he can do it.
Fabian Cancellara there, well, I guess he's saying, Bob, you take your instincts and decide and hope it's the right move. Well, we haven't seen any of Cancellara just yet, but he is up here, and he's the only one of the team we haven't seen putting the weight behind the chase.
Salita del Poggio, that is the Poggio, and that's the last climb, the hallmark of this tremendous classic, Milano-San Remo. Philippe Gilbert, that's the rider from FDJ. He had a great win in Het Volk earlier in the season. He must be on good form, but wow, the Italian teams are really putting the hammer down. Liquigas back on the front.
Well, they seem to be slightly in control again now, Liquigas, which is a good result for them because they're thinking of the 2006 winner, Filippo Pozzato. If he wins, they certainly will get all his accolades today because they've worked extremely well. Manuel Quinziato is the rider on the front here. Now, this is the Poggio. It's 2.5 miles to climb. It is fairly steep, but they climb it so fast.
They go so quickly up that, and it depends on how much energy the sprinters have left. It's been a very competitive race. There's Gilbert on the front with Alessandro Ballan, and Liquigas still trying to control things. There is Cancellara right on the front, and Pozzato as well. Frank Schleck chasing this next breakdown by the Sedimonte Liqui Giovanni squad.
This is Alessandro Bertolini who's made the move. He's the captain of the Sedimonte. They have come out fighting this year. They've had a tremendous season, getting wins with a lot of riders, and of course an overall victory in the Tour of Lancori, but last week in Tirreno-Adriatico they had Iliano scoring as well. A remarkable team feeling full of confidence, and Sebastian Langeveld was the Dutchman for Rabobank there, trying to control the bunch.
They need to keep things together for the sprinters. If Oscar Freire is still going to be in with the chance, there's Cancellara biding his time, but it's been a very competitive, very tough finale, and so we'll see what the sprinters have left. What a great attack this is by Bertolini.
This is the way you ride, Bob, when your team is full of confidence. It's a team from Colombia, that's where it's registered, but these boys are well known, and Bertolini has got help on the way. 3 boys have got off the front.
There's still a few kilometers left. There's a very technical descent off of the Poggio. Cancellara's come across now to the 3 chasers of Bertolini, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of control of the sprinters' teams on the Poggio. This looks to be, and Karsten Kruna on the wheel of Liquigas.
Pelazzotti. That's Pelazzotti, Bob, who's in second place. In fact, that looks like it might be Karsten Kroon who's made the move there. Having just seen what Cancellara had to say, I thought that was the instinctive go, but it wasn't. It looks as though it's Karsten Kroon who's bridged the gap there. He's a good climber. This is a typical springboard for him.
Bertolini still on the attack, chased by 3 men. Testa della Corsa, that's the front of the bike race. Some of the lactic acid now will start to slip into the muscles now of Bertolini, absolutely giving it everything he has on the Poggio. He knows that if he can get near the top with a little bit of an advantage, who knows, he might have a chance to stay away to the end. He does have a teammate in the chase, so they're going to have to tow him across as well if they're going to keep working.
That's Iliano who's got onto the back there, and it is Karsten Kroon and Pelazzotti. Those are the 3 riders trying to reach the leader there. Of course, Iliano's not going to help them. You get some idea of the slope there of the Poggio. This man is 110% committed here. There'll be nothing in those legs if it doesn't succeed right now, and the boys behind are struggling. Pelazzotti is the man doing all of the work. Is this the Liquigas ploy here to try and set it up for Pozzato?
Fleccia now on the front of the group for the Rabobank squad, still chasing. Great riding by the Liqui Giovanni squad. They have 2 men up the road, including this man in the front by himself, Alessandro Bertolini, but the peloton is hot on their heels.
Well, Bertolini, hats off to him. He's tried to break the spirit of the peloton. I don't think he's done enough here. There are 3 chasing, but the main field are just behind. They know if they can control this race to the top of the Poggio, it is much further to the finish. The sprinters will have more time to set it up, but there goes a move from the front of the peloton now.
Now the front of the group is starting to get heated. It looks like a CSC rider. Could that be Cancellara? Alessandro Ballan perhaps on the Lamprey squad attacking.
Well, I can't think of anybody else left for CSC except Fabian Cancellara. Kroon is up front, and the move behind from Française de Jeux, that just has to be Philippe Gilbert.
2 riders from Liqui Giovanni there. Karsten Kroon, CSC rider. He's on the front in the attack with Pelazzotti.
Pelazzotti, and now Iliani sitting at the back here, having his best season since he last won a race in 2004. We saw him win a week ago in Tirreno-Adriatico. 4 riders here trying to sort it all out. The sun high in the sky now, coming off their left shoulder. Been a long day in the saddle, the longest of any day in the saddle in the cycling racing of any season. Looking down at the peloton now, let's see if we can find who is making the pace at the front. Française de Jure, it just has to be Philippe Gilbert. He'll be the strongest. And the Lamprey rider down there, that is Patsy Villard again, still working there. Hushoft is getting into the mix as well, and a counter move here now, which is coming by Rebellin, I think. Yes, it is Rebellin. And Gasparotto, who's also on form.
Gasparotto from the Barlow World Squad is covering this big acceleration from Rebellin, and look at that attack, doing incredible damage. He's almost got himself across to our leaders, and Balan trying to match that acceleration by Gasparotto and David Rebellin. This is going to make it very tough on the sprinters.
Well, this is a ripper of a race now as the riders try to sort it out here on the Poggio, but they've gone right over the top of them. It is a Barlow World rider who has shut it down, and I think it's Gasparotto. And there it is. Enrico Gasparotto is the man who's really on top form. He thought he could win Tirreno-Adriatico. He tried to bridge that 16 seconds to the win. Didn't happen for him then, but he's bringing the form here too.
Rabobank up there, that could be none other than our hot favorite, Oscar Freire, making that acceleration. There's your defending champion. What a great ride by Oscar Freire, and Cancellara right on his wheel. It's all back together now in Milano-San Remo. 1 descent off the Poggio, and then just a little bit of time before the finish in San Remo.
Well, they've given Cancellara the number 221, the leader of the team. This is Philippe Gilbert, who's launching an attack. He's almost pulled it off at the same point last year. He's waiting for the climb, and it'll be 110% effort. The French-speaking Belgian rider were over the top, and Gilbert is heading down. Cancellara's gone over in second place. Gasparotto, the 1-2 overall in Tirreno-Adriatico, right on his back wheel. We now begin the charge down the mountain, and then the long quick break. Rejoin us, the riders heading down to the finish.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
Hey, Ted. What are you doing? Getting ready for our big tent event. Well, it's not that kind of tent. Oh, yeah. That is better.
A tent event that could only come from Subaru. Through March 31st, get a great deal on any Subaru at the small tent big event, like the all-wheel drive Impreza. With available stability control, it's the only small car to earn the IIHS Top Safety Pick. And now it's at a special lease of just $179 per month.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. From every leg-burning sprint to every exultant finish, Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels, next Sunday at 5 on Versus.
Have a blast shooting clay targets at Colorado Clay. I'm Sherry Liggett, and I've shot clay targets all over the world, and Colorado Clays is still the best. You'll enjoy the 5 voice-activated trap fields, 2 beautiful ski fields, and 15 fantastic sporting clay stations. Colorado Clays has automatic pullers, so you can shoot all by yourself. Bring the entire family. The kids will enjoy the brand new playground, and at Colorado Clays, we have quality instructors, loaner guns, and lots of targets. Come try it. You'll have a blast.
I spent 4 years of my life in this high school.
And not once have I ever burst into spontaneous song and dance.
I did, however, burst into tears.
This is real life high school.
And there are no laugh tracks. And it's about as far away as you can get from a musical.
High School Confidential. All new episode Monday at 10, 9 Central on WeTV.
Brought to you by Mile High Mitsubishi. It's easy to buy at Mile High.
Is that you're gonna go out there and do your best.
Flyers Rangers, Tuesday on Versus.
Cyclism Sunday's coverage of Milan-San Remo on Versus is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here.
Welcome back. Milan-San Remo is plunging down to the finishing line on the 99.
Cancellara's team doing all kinds of work, and this is Philippe Gilbert. He won Het Folk just a few weeks ago with a similar solo attack in the finale. Overbaking that corner a little bit, that's going to slow his momentum down. Cancellara charging hard right behind.
Well, this is a big moment for Gilbert, who's having his best start to the season ever. He's been winning all over the show, and he's now been joined by Cancellara first. He's checking him out. Enrico Gasparotto, the gap opened by Gilbert, closed by Gasparotto as they now plunge down. I need the camera to pull back, Bob. I think they're slightly ahead of the field, but maybe not. Yes, they are. There's a gap there. There's something like 12 riders clear.
A very select group here in the front of the Milano-San Remo. That's just a couple of Ks to go. A bit of a dangerous place to put that sign out in front of the road there, but the riders have gotten through there safely. And here is a very select group of men, 5 Ks to the finish line.
That's 3 miles to the finish now. Remember, it's an extended finishing line, not the one we normally use on the Via Roma here. And the sprinters continually losing control of this race when it matters. And now we've got quite a serious-looking group up there. Gasparotto, Cancellara. I think in that group also Philippe Gilbert, and I thought I saw the blue jersey of Rebellin go down.
And Oscar Freire, I think he's in there as well, about middle of the peloton. So Oscar Freire doing a great job to cover that acceleration by Fabian Cancellara. It doesn't seem as if any of the other sprinters have been as heads up as Freire has been. Cancellara's making the tempo. He's a great time trialist and incredible descender coming off of the descent of the Poggio. Gasparotto going through there on the inside. Philippe Gilbert, those are your first 3 with David Rebellin.
Well, it was Gilbert going round the corner, Gasparotto, Cancellara, somebody, probably Paciavia has come on the back there for Lamprey, and that is Lando Luz, who's also getting on there for Euskaltel-Euskadi, so a desperate few moments for them. Once we're off the mat, that is David Rebellin. He did make the split. Another man who is on fire as the kilometers tick off. That's 4 to go.
4 to go now. The kilometers really ticking down quickly on the descent. 4Ks al traguardo. That will be the finishing banner. There's Gasparotto opening a little bit of a gap. And now the Liqui Giovanni riders, and it might be Filippo Pozzato from the Liquigas squad.
That looks like Pozzato has made it. He's just got to make it because of the work his team has done to try and control this race all day. This could be the winning move, you know, and the sprinters may not be winning Milan-San Remo unless Freire gets the best of this group, and he should. It's Pozzato leading the charge off the mountain.
Freire has to stay calm, stay cool, not close any of the gaps down, save himself for the sprint. There's a couple of extra corners in this year's Milano-San Remo, not the Via Roma as normal. They're going to go down along the waterfront to finish this off with a couple of very tricky corners before the end. And Liqui Giovanni still on the attack.
Well, there's 14 riders has made this split, and they've slowly come together on the way down as they continue to run onto the flatter roads. And there is their quarry. As we look here now, Rebellin, followed by, I think that's Pelazzotti, but I think there's 2 Liquigas right up here. 3 kilometers to go. Pelazzotti, the original attacker. Pozzato has joined as there's a counter move there by Sedimenti.
One last man on the Rabobank squad apart from Oscar Freire, and that is Fletcher, and he is making the tempo in the chase. It's going to be very tough to stay away from the Rabobank squad, especially when you have a man of the quality of Juan Antonio Fletcher doing the chase.
Well, there is Felipe Pozzato. He won here in 2006. He got the better of the sprinters in a surprise at the end. Now he's in a much better position to win it again. Cancellara looks over his shoulder here, and nobody reacts to the chase of Cancellara except one man does from Lamprey. Is he going to get across? Because that was a cheeky move.
Pelazzotti now, and Cancellara closes that down. Pelazzotti with Rebellin. They've been caught now. Anybody's Milano-San Remo still in the final here, few hundred meters of the race into the streets of San Remo. A very small group in the front. Pelazzotti's making the tempo high so the sprinters don't catch. That will give his teammate Pozzato a great chance to win. Torhushovd in there, and there's Oscar Freire.
And there's a move there too coming in. Lando Luz is having a little dig on the left of our road, a former winner of the Dauphiné Libre race. Are they going to react to him? They won't really count him as a potential winner as he tries to make his move here off the front. There's Cancellara paying a big attention there as he's gone up to join him. But look at the others. They don't know who to mark here because there is another attack. He sensed the gap, Bob, and he's gone. Remember his words, you take your chat, you act to the instinct. And he must think that just on 2 kilometers to go, he's got to give it his shot. He can't beat those guys in the sprint.
Pellizotti was doing the tempo. He hesitated. Cancellara took that exact moment to make his attack, and he is a very tough man to catch. Once he gets a little bit of a gap, almost nobody can catch him unless it's the whole field chasing. But this is a very small group, and no big sprinters teams left to control the tempo. Cancellara out in the front by himself.
And there is really no gap at all, but they've beaten the sprinters up the climb, and the sprinters are going to be absolutely fuming here. Milram tried to put matters to rights, but they could have left this too late. They've allowed the finest time trialist in the current modern day world of cycling to do what he does best, and that's ride a time trial to the finish. And Fabian Cancellara is at 1 kilometer to go. A flying kilometer, Bob. It brings back memories, not quite the same, when he won in the yellow jersey in Compiègne.
Very similar to that situation. Cancellara, he's got a big gap, 1 kilometer to go. The Baron Bear has done it. He has gotten away. There is Milan asking riders to come through. Gasparato does not have the wheels. Pellizotti can't close it. Oscar Freire is nowhere. Cancellara just coming into the finishing straightaway now.
Cancellara has won this. I'm going to be confident now because there's no way they've reacted. They've all hesitated and allowed this man. Only one Swiss rider has ever won Milan-San Remo. His name was Eric Maschler. Bob Roll was in that event, in fact, back in 1987. And now Fabian Cancellara is going to be the second Swiss rider to win it because they all looked at each other and they never reacted. And Fabian Cancellara is continuing his outstanding year. What a victory for Team CSC. In a year, they say they will leave the sport. Well, Fabian Cancellara just gave them their finest going-away present.
Cancellara, what a great win. Here is a sprint for second place. It looks like Pellizotti came through in front of David Rebellin, but nobody could catch Cancellara. You give Cancellara 10 meters, you might as well say goodbye.
I think it was probably Pizzato there, Bob. Pellizotti did all the work, and Pizzato second. He won it in 2006, but there's no doubt who was the winner. He did it the only way he could do it with the sprinters in that group, and they all split the big day out for the big names we were talking about, the fast sprinters. They never had chance to use their artillery. There's the congratulations, because the team did so well. They worked so well. They shut it down with all of the men. The one man we never saw till the end on the Poggio was him, Fabian Cancellara.
Absolute elation for the CSC team. They did the tempo to chase down the breakaway. It's so dangerous, but with Bettini and Rebellin in there, and then Cancellara, knowing what he had to do, waited for the perfect moment. He saw Pellizotti hesitate, and he took his chance. What a great win by the Team CSC and Fabian Cancellara, the current world time trial champion.
Well, now come the interviews. Fabian Cancellara said before this race started he didn't think it was a race he could win. It didn't suit his style, but it's always been a race he's wanted to win, and he made it suit his style.
That must be Karsten Kroon, who was in the finale doing all of the work for Cancellara, and you can see that attack. The Euskatel-Euskadi rider, he did his move. That was a little too early, and then Cancellara went, and it was boom, boom. Out went the lights for the field.
You just get that one chance. Landerloos, he came up to Landerloos, and he thought he's got to do it now and hope, and that's what he did. And the field behind all started to look at each other, and you only need a split-second hesitation. He has the 10 meters he wants. He's gone.
He is so strong, so powerful, and so great on his own as a time trialist that he took that little tiny gap and rode it all the way to the finish line. Unbelievable result. I think this has made him happier than any of his victories previously.
I think you're right. Of course, he's won Paris-Roubaix. That was his best ever win. He probably notched this even on a par with Paris-Roubaix. Brings his win total up to 46 and his 5th win already this year. 7¼ hours. These are results brought us by Lexmark. Pizzato second at 4 seconds in the end. Gilbert, great result really, 3rd for him. And looking down the other pages, Anthony Geslan getting 6th here. Where the sprinters? Pereira couldn't have been there, but he was there but never sprinted, in 8th place. Hushoff was there too in 9th place. Pataki was back in the field there for 18th. Julian Team 25th. George Hincapie getting 42nd, and a bad position there for Tom Bonan, and Bettini in the mix there as well. Well, let's have a look at our Avis move of the day, Bob.
Can there be any question about the Avis Try Harder move of the day? It was the race-winning move by that man, Fabian Cancellara, within sight of the finish line, riding that all the way to the end. What a great victory for Team CSC and the Swiss World Time Trial Champion, Fabian Cancellara.
Well, that's our Avis move of the day, and what a great move it was. Let's go down now to the podium and see, I'm sure, a very happy Fabian Cancellara. I make it win number 46 in a career which started back in 2001. He's won so many big races, and he'll put this right on top of the pile. The man that won the prologue in Palo Alto in the Amgen Tour of California, now standing on top of the big race, the Milan-San Remo. Congratulations there to former winner Pizzato, and another fine placing there by Philippe Gilbert. Let us not forget that his birthday was just 5 days ago now, so he's just 27 years of age. And just taking in the moment here, the news in the week, of course, Team CSC deciding now that they're finishing with the sport at the end of this year. For no other reason than a change of dynamics for the company. But he's delivered a big win at the start of the year for them.
It shouldn't be too hard for Bjarne Riis, the manager, to find another sponsor. When you have the caliber of rider like Fabian Cancellara, you can do no wrong in the sport of cycling than to sponsor him. Pozzato a little bit disappointed, but there was no control at the end of Milano-San Remo, and that gave the chance to Fabian Cancellara, and he took full advantage.
And indeed, Eric Maschler can be laid to rest now, who won this race back in 1987, 21 years ago, the only other Swiss man to win it. And by the way, Cancellara becomes the first rider to do the double with Tirreno-Adriatico since Maurizio Fondriest back in 1993. That is amazing. So we're looking now at the presentation here. Milan-San Remo is over for another year. Don't forget, though, next week we're back into France. They're in anarchy at the moment with the UCI, but the 2008 Criterium International will go on versus at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a three-stage race. Of course, there are big American teams there, including the home-based team BMC. They're also riding, along with Slipstream and along with Team High Road. A lot to watch, a lot to cheer for. Boy, the cycling season really has begun. That was one of the best Milan-San Remos we've had in years. And it's won by a time trialist. Who can believe that? And of course, Will Fishcorn, he may have nailed his place in the Tour de France with his brilliant escape today, when he was in the lead with two others for the best part of 250 kilometres. What a great event. Don't forget, all the details come to you on our website, www.versiad.com. We'll keep you up to date with all our coverage. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Up next is the Iditarod. That's a race that requires a lot of stamina as well. We'll see you soon. For Bob, Phil Liggett saying goodbye.